Another episode of Uncontested Sports on this Monday night, May 2nd. It's May 2nd, but yet it feels like it's like beginning of December with it being rainy and cold and cloudy.
April came and went.
Yeah, right.
April
really
felt
by.
like a blur.
Yeah, it just flew by. I was in nice weather this weekend in Florida, and I come here like, oh, it's May, but we're on Long Island. It's not Florida weather, but it's still May, and it's freezing. Not freezing, but it's cold. It's windy. It's raining all day. The sun wasn't out. Joe, I don't know why this is happening to us, but
it feels like playoff baseball should just be starting.
I know, right? So this is like October weather. That's my time of year. I like the fall weather. But May, it's like, are you kidding me with this? At least it'll be nice tomorrow when we're at the Met game all day tomorrow.
Going to the doubleheader,
yeah,
three of us.
Yeah, three of us got a doubleheader to deal with tomorrow, so I got to try to power through that one. But we got a lot going on in sports, and not just New York sports in general. We got to recap the draft, Jets and Giants, what they did, how we looking. Jets kind of won the Super Bowl over the weekend. Giants didn't do so bad themselves. Of course, that's all on paper and all opinion-based, nothing really in the win columns. But it's a good look for now for both teams. We'll get into the drafts and some storylines coming out of that one, as well as we got to talk Yankees and Mets. Both teams off to a great start to the season, as we're at May 2nd right now. So good Aprils on each side. Both teams are in first. I think they're Yankees, Mets 1 and 2 respectively in the league in the standings. So get no complaints there. Yankees in the middle of a 9-game winning streak going into Toronto, and the Mets on their 7-series win streak to start the season at home against Atlanta tonight. No Buck Showalter tonight. He's suspended for the debacle against St. Louis. Again, like I said, we're going to talk about the NFL draft, some other storylines that happened outside New York as the Bruins almost scored the first goal of the game. And speaking of the Bruins, we're going to be talking some NHL playoffs as Game 1's kicked off in the Eastern and Western Conferences tonight. Before we do that, we start the show with some draft talk. Follow us on Twitter at UncontestedPod, Instagram at Uncontested_pod. Listen to us after the show Monday nights on Twitter Spaces on all podcasting streamings, wherever you find your podcast. As well, you can listen to us live on YouTube when you search up Uncontested Sports on YouTube. You can now find us there a little bit easier. So, now, going into the draft, started up, when did it start? Thursday night?
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. It was perfect timing for me. So I was on a flight, so I missed the first 19 picks of the first round. And as I was getting off the plane, the Steelers were picking. So perfect timing for me. I got very lucky. But I missed the first, I think, not 19, I think. I missed the first 13 picks. And I was able to then see the rest of the first round, how it went down. But the Jets, they we'll start with them. Sauce Gardner, the Garrett Wilson at receiver, and then they got back into the first round. Now just sticking to the first round. With Jermaine Johnson, that was his name, the pass rusher.
And
everyone was wondering, and Ringle and our friend Nick were the whole first round were like, what's going on with Johnson? Why isn't no one taking him? Where is he? And then all of a sudden, Jets jump in. They trade for him. So trade up to get him. And on paper, a very good first round for the Jets. They add a corner, which people are comparing him to, I heard comparisons to, like, he'll get a Richard Sherman-like role. He's going to be comparing him to many shutdown corners. Stingley Jr. went right before him to Houston, but I also heard that he wasn't really a good fit for the way the Jets played. So another thing that was coming out today, that if Stingley Jr. was there for the Jets, that they wouldn't have went Stingley because he doesn't fit the way the Jets played. So they go Sauce Gardner. They get a receiver because the big trade that everyone was talking about with what's his name?
Deebo
Samuel. Maybe the 10th pick goes to San Francisco, not to be. The Jets take Garrett Wilson.
The Jets offered the 49ers like a low ball offer during the draft, but they declined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the Jets wind up going with Jermaine Johnson at the end. So right off the bat, you help out your young quarterback and Zach Wilson. You add to your secondary that was hit or miss, mainly miss for a long time with this Jets defense. And then you add a pass rusher, which you guys desperately needed as well. So after one day after the draft ends, a good sign for the Jets. All the analysts love it. Gardner fell into their lap. They could have went to the Texans, but the Texans go with Stingley because they see him as a more fit. So I guess for now, no complaints as a Jets fan. You got what you needed in the first round, and then you wind up getting that guy Hall, the running back, to help out your
first round talent.
Yeah, who now you have a nice running back by committee with Michael Carter.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Sauce Gardner fell in their lap. You can make the argument that all 3 first-round picks fell in their lap because Gardner was supposed to be the first cornerback off the board. He wasn't. Like you just said, Stingley to the Texans. Garrett Wilson was supposed to be the first wide receiver. He was supposed to go to the Falcons. They had a lot of mock drafts with that. Falcons took Drake London, I believe.
Yep.
So that was a surprise there. So you could say Garrett Wilson fell. And then, of course, Jermaine Johnson fell. He was supposed to be like a top 3 edge guy and a top 10 pick. The Jets had Jermaine Johnson as in their top 8 on their draft board, and they traded up and got him at 26. So all great picks, a fantastic first round and a fantastic start to the second round. Like Jordan just mentioned, getting Breece Hall, who they really loved and who they traded up with the Giants for. But again, this is all on paper. We don't know how they're going to go, but that doesn't mean you can't be happy about it. I think as a Jet fan, you can be very ecstatic about this draft, and hopefully it works out. I am.
I don't think that you could dream up a better scenario for the Jets coming out of this draft. Like you said, at least on paper, I don't think it gets much better than this. A lot of people prior to the draft had Sauce Gardner as one of the best players in the entire draft. So to get him, I think it's a plus for that defense. Obviously, he's got swagger. He's also got the chip on his shoulder now because he wasn't the first cornerback taken.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson, I think, is a great after the catch guy. I think Breece Hall is a great guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, run the ball out of the backfield. You got guys with versatility, and like you said, nobody coming out of this draft is a sure thing, is a sure Hall of Famer, is going to be what many hope them to be. But I think that you guys threw a lot of darts at the board, and I think that you have a very high probability of hitting on a couple of them at the very least. So, I mean, if you're the Jets, it's only looking up.
What I really liked from the Jets, from what I saw, is that you really got the feel that they knew who they wanted, and they when the time was right or when they felt like they could make a deal, they moved up and got who they wanted. Like
you saw them being proactive.
You felt the confidence in their picks. It wasn't like, and it made sense with we're picking by position too. You needed the cornerback. And it's ironic because I originally wanted edge at 4th overall. I would have been happy with Kayvon Thibodeau, who eventually goes to the Giants, but I would have been happy with that. I wanted edge at 4 and receiver at 10 if we didn't trade Debo. I said that last week, but the fact that the Jets obviously valued corner more and Gardner more than any edge guy in Thibodeau and Jermaine Johnson with the last 2 left in the top 10 because Hutchinson went and Trayvon Walker went 1 and 2. So the Jets valued that, but the fact that they were able to still get one of their guys and fill that position that I wanted it for at 26 is a huge win. Is there a concern with Jermaine Johnson? Is there a reason why he fell? We're not going to know. We're not going to know the deal on any of these picks for another year or two. But right now, on paper, great draft, and we just got to see how it works out.
And I like the way that all of these first 4 guys actually that you took help Zach Wilson. Obviously, Garrett Wilson is another weapon. Breece Hall, another weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Sauce Gardner, a guy that's going to get the ball back, hopefully, for Zach Wilson during games. But you took a tight end in round 3, which is a little bit interesting considering you got guys like CJ Uzomah, Tyler Conklin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got an offensive tackle, you got an edge guy after that. But do you have any reservations about that pick in round 3, getting Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State? That's the only blip.
He's a Long Island guy, which is crazy. He's from Lindenhurst.
That's actually, that is.
It's really cool. They showed a video of him celebrating with his family. And
that was the guy in the green suit, right? Or his dad was like pumped as hell.
His dad was pumped. His dad was like wearing all black, if I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, he was. Yeah.
That one. That's like the only question mark for me or blip in this draft. I think this was as close to a perfect draft as it can get for a team, assuming things go the way that it's expected to. But that one, to me, when you guys have bigger needs,
to be honest, even trading up for Breece Hall was a surprise to me too. I'm not saying I don't like the pick,
especially after the season.
Michael Carter had a solid season. Nothing great. He didn't blow the doors open, but he had a solid season. So to go running back at the top of the second round, I thought they would still possibly address the defense at some point, or even go offensive tackle because you have that Mekhi Becton situation going on. But that should be fine. That should work itself out. But you never know. But so you can say really both those picks are a little bit of a question mark. But the thing I'll say on the tight end with Ruckert is that I think they view Conklin more in like the running game, not as much as a pass catcher as they do Uzomah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I think Ruckert's more of a pass catcher than he is a run blocking tight end, but I'm not sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we won't know. We won't know until we see it on the field.
Right.
I was going to mention before is that there was some drama going into this with Mekhi Becton, saying like, oh, do they take like an Evan Neal? They go with a tackle, and if they did that, or really anywhere,
I
on the
did not
offensive
want to see
line,
that
if you saw any offensive line pick for
early,
the Jets
like really
early,
early.
it would cause some questions like what's going on with Becton. But by pretty much the whole draft, did they take any offensive line? Maybe not until like the 5th round or something like late.
No, the 4th round they took Max
exactly.
Mitchell, offensive tackle, which I do like the pick because you're not taking a guard. You could have taken a center, but I guess there wasn't any that they value. Linderbaum, who they liked, but they're not going to take him. But Connor McGovern's serviceable. You got Elijah Vera Tucker, who you just drafted in the 1st round last year, and he just signed a Pro Bowler at the other guard spot. So you're not touching the inside offensive lineman. So you would touch a tackle. Font played great for you at left tackle, but like you mentioned, Jordan, the Becton situation is a concern. So I do like that pick, I guess, just in case the Becton stuff doesn't work out. But if you would have saw them take a Neal or Iguanu, the 2 top guys, like in the beginning of the 1st round, I think that I wouldn't have liked to see, just because then you're thinking like, oh, maybe the Jets know more than we do, and Becton, then it's Becton's 1 foot, possibly 2 feet out the door if they make a pick like that. So I'm kind of happy that didn't happen. Maybe they do have some confidence that Becton has worked himself back to a little more in shape and can be productive, because this offensive line is going to get switched around, because you had Becton at the start of the season, you had Becton at left tackle and Font at right, but then Becton got hurt. Font moved over to left, and then you signed Laken Tomlinson in the offseason. He's a left guard, which you're going to plug in at left guard, and Elijah Vera Tucker is moving over to right, where he played left last year. So now you're putting Tucker and Becton over to the right side, and I think Font's going to stay at left because he played very well, and he thinks of himself as a true left tackle, not a right tackle. So the line is definitely better than where it was a year and 2 years ago, 100% better, but they're switching it around this year, so hopefully there's not too many like work in progress is there, or like, things they got to work through. Hopefully it's an easy transition.
And all this depends on is one person, and it's Zach Wilson. Like, all these picks can be great and all, but if he doesn't show any progress or has anything close to what he did last year of a season, it's going to be, you're going to be asking a lot of questions again.
I think it's 2 people too. I think it's Zach Wilson 100% and Rob Saleh.
Yeah,
and Rob Saleh,
because he had he didn't have his greatest moments last year. In his first year.
He had some questions last year. Nothing too crazy, but you just didn't seem, the team was bad, so it was hard to get a good judge of what kind of coach Rob Saleh is, and kind of the same for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had a strong finish, but it wasn't anything solid.
Fine, strong.
He didn't throw an interception like the last 6 weeks.
It
wasn't
the bar.
Here it comes.
If that's the bar.
I'm not
he
saying
threw for 94 yards, but he didn't throw an interception. I mean, thank God.
It's something you want to see. I'm not driving it home. He has a lot to prove. Trust me, I'm not driving home. But he finished off better than where he started, interception wise, I guess you could say. But both need to 100% prove themselves in order for this team to take that next step.
And he's got the weapons to do it.
We have different definitions of then finishing.
I'll say solid. I
wouldn't even say solid. I wouldn't even say solid. I'm looking at his numbers right now. I mean, he had a good game against and a loss against
compared
Tampa.
to the start.
We
don't have to get into this because
I could have went out there and had a better game than he compared to his start. I mean, if that's the bar we're gonna draw here,
we don't have to get into this because it really means nothing.
And then another person under the microscope. This is a huge draft for Joe Douglas because he's had a while. How long has he been there? 3 years now, 4 years of building draft capital, getting his guys in the draft, building an offensive line, starting over with a new quarterback. And this was his big draft to really that really it's either this is either the cornerstone of the franchise draft, or this is, if you miss on it, you might not get another job in this league draft for Douglas. And so far, so good.
I don't know about that. I don't know about not getting another job. If he whiffs on every single pick, then maybe.
If he whiffs on, let's say he whiffs on 2 of the 3 in the first round, and Zach Wilson doesn't pan out, that's you might not
adding
get
that onto
a job.
Adding on that 100%. But I think he's done a solid job so far being the Jets GM with what he's able to get back in trades, getting 2 picks for Jamal Adams, a 2nd-round pick for Sam Darnold. He traded he got a 4th-round pick for Chris Herndon. So being able to make those deals as well as last year's draft and possibly this year's draft with the hype that it has on paper, obviously, again, we need to see. But like, I think he's on the right track more than the other two. I think that's fair to say. I think he's way more
Then
on
what
the
other two? What do you mean?
Saleh and Wilson. Like he's shown more than Saleh and Wilson.
He has more time. He's had more time.
If you want
had more time.
yes,
Yeah.
He's had 1 more year than Saleh and 2 more years than Zach. But if you want to, like, consider them the big three, the top of the, you have the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback.
And
so I think he's I think he's higher up on his ladder than the other two.
And I want to circle back for 1 minute on Zach Wilson and you saying that he had stronger starts at the end of the season. Yes, he didn't throw an interception the final 5 games, but he also only threw 3 touchdowns. He did rush for 2.
He ran, yeah. Okay.
So he accounted for 5 total touchdowns himself over the course of the last 5 games. But I think the issue with Zach Wilson last season and even down the stretch when he didn't turn the ball over is that it was pretty conservative play, right? He had an 87-yard passing game, a 102-yard passing game. Next highest was 170, right? His average depth of target was bounced between 4 yards and 7 yards over the course of those 5 games. If you look at just yards per attempt, using the bottom, the only people that threw shorter passes over the course of a game or a season were Ben Roethlisberger, Trevor Lawrence, and Jacoby Brissett. So I think that what you want to see from Zach Wilson immediately heading into next season is him throwing the ball downfield. I mean, one of the biggest strengths for him coming out of college was this big BYU arm that this kid had. And we didn't get to see that last season. And so now you have, pass catching tight ends. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. Hopefully those guys are healthy and can contribute and take a step forward next season. Corey Davis. So I think right out of the gate next season, you have to see immediate improvement from last season and then whatever he worked on over the course of the offseason. I don't think that we can go into next year and say, all right, well, we got to give it time. Yes, he should still progress from game 1 to game 17, but I think immediately there should be a noticeable jump between what he showed us last year and
I agree with you 100%.
You don't want a Daniel Jones situation where we're going into year 4.
Stuck in mediocrity.
Exactly.
I was literally just going to go
just
there.
in purgatory for the longest
You're
time.
not expecting him to be Mahomes week 1, but you're expecting him to you're expecting to see that the next step is at least taken. Whether he's going to keep taking those steps or not is going to be a question throughout the year, but you want to see, I agree, you want to see something out there.
And the Daniel Jones comparison is perfect because it's like, these guys are teams and organizations invest so much in these guys, and that's why it's so difficult to let them go. But there is such a thing as hanging on too long, which the Giants may very well be doing with Daniel Jones or have already done with Daniel Jones. So I think that for a team like the Jets that are on the rise, I think you'd consider them on the rise with a lot of question marks, of course. I think it's important that they don't set the bar too low. No, you think about what you gave up to draft this guy. Think about all the other players that you passed on for this guy. He needs to contribute and needs to start week 1 next season.
I agree.
So now we mentioned Daniel Jones. Now on to the Giants. They had 5 and 7 in this year's draft. Kayvon Thibodeau, a defensive end. They needed that. They needed an edge rusher, just like the Jets did, and they went offensive tackle in Evan Neal, an offensive line that has been disastrous for a couple of years now. That they hopefully you see better production off the rip than you did from Andrew Thomas, who did not play good his rookie season. I know Joe probably could speak a little bit more to it on his second season. That I don't know much about. I know he had a terrible first season. I don't know how he did in the second year. But you go offensive line, you go edge. Again, in the first round, no complaints really. There's no I really didn't see any head scratchers from the Giants side where it's like, where are they going with this one? They went wide receiver, I believe, in the second round. Third round. Yeah, the third pick, second round. That guy had like a funky name, I remember.
It was Wendell Robinson, wide receiver from Kentucky, very undersized. I'll touch on him.
So, and a guy who stuck out to me was Thibodeau because he's got you saw the personality immediately.
Yeah,
he's got a big persona. I saw an interview. He's like, he was saying like, when you're sleeping, I'm up. When you're taking a rest, I'm working. So he's talking a big game already, Thibodeau. He went at number 5. He was projected to go in the top 5. He was one of the best guys in the draft, especially at his position. And now he's under the big bright lights of New York. So this could be a home run if you have the personality matched with the production, and you're going to be liking what you're seeing if you're a Giant fan, if that works out.
Yeah, so the Giants with the new regime, Brian Daboll, Joe Shane kind of leading the charge heading into next season. This was the largest draft class for the Giants since 2003. They came out of it with 11 total players. And I think that Joe Shane did all the right things in this draft. I mean, his goal was apparent leading up to it. He said he wanted to add versatility. He wanted to add depth. He did that by trading back multiple times and, exchanging 1 pick for 2 and getting more, as I mentioned with the Jets, more darts to throw at the board. This is what a rebuilding team is supposed to do. Giants lack talent. They added talent, especially in their top 2 picks in Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. So we addressed edge immediately with pick number 5. Kayvon Thibodeau was largely regarded as one of the top players before he slipped. And he's been a top guy ever since high school, ever since college. He's won awards. He's set records. Jordan, you mentioned him coming out and immediately saying that he's not going to take plays off. He's going to be working out while you're sleeping, and he's going to be working out when you wake up. And in a way, he's saying that to kind of dispel some rumors that came up prior to the draft, which were that he often or sometimes took off plays in college. That, to me, that's type of stuff is inexcusable. The lack of effort type of issues with players. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. If you're a Giants fan, if you're looking for something this season, it's you want to see this motor going for 60 minutes. Evan Neal at pick 7, I think, was a gift. He could have gone a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So addressing the offensive line, he can go opposite Andrew Thomas. I mentioned Joe Shane wanting versatility in this draft. He got it in Evan Neal. This guy is 6'8", 337. He's a mountain of a man. He is incredibly strong in defending the run game. So he should open up things for Saquon Barkley, who is looking for a bounce back year coming out of injury. What I like about Evan Neal is his versatility, which is why I assume Joe Shane liked him. He started 40 games for Nick Saban, 15 at left tackle, 13 at left guard, and 12 at right tackle. So he can bounce around. He missed only 1 game over the course of those 40 games, and that was COVID related. So he's durable. He's reliable. We always talk about the best ability being availability. Injuries is something that every team deals with. So hopefully he can remain, in the starting lineup to provide consistency for that offensive line, consistency for Daniel Jones. I am more than happy with those picks. I think I'd feel even better if our crosstown rivals, if you want to call them that, the Jets didn't have such an amazing draft. When you compare it, I think the Jets just blew everybody out of the water. But Joe Shane did a lot of right things. This organization is doing things, I think, the right way for the first time in a long time. The first 2 picks that they made, they didn't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
They did what they were supposed to do.
Best player available.
Pick 43 in round 2, Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver out of Kentucky, was, I guess, a head scratcher for me. I'm not going to pretend like I knew the guys that we took at 182, 173, 147, because it could have been anybody at that point. But Wan'Dale Robinson is a little curious. I mean, he's 5'8", so he's undersized, and we already have undersized guys. We have 6-foot Kadarius Toney, who's been rumored to be traded. We have 5'10" Sterling Shepard. So, I mean, another receiver like that kind of seems a little bit redundant to me. But look, we addressed the offensive line later in the draft. We took a tight end. We lost Evan Ingram this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot to like about the Giants.
I think with the wide receiver, I think you're thinking that they're trying to trade Toney, which we saw before the draft. So maybe that's their kind of replacement for him.
But if you are trying to trade Toney, why? My question is why. I mean, he showed he was
not their draft.
He has not shown a lot. Yes, I get that, but I think he showed you some things, and he's worth another look.
Yeah.
He wasn't really implemented into the offense right away last season, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can kind of come out next year and see what he can do with a consistent role.
It might be like internal stuff. They're just not seeing eye to
Yeah,
eye. They
could
don't
be.
like his like
And
personality
we'll never know.
or whatnot. So another thing, Giants news, they're not picking up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option, so it's
Yeah.
make or break it for Daniel Jones right now.
Should have been make
That
or
should have
break
been-
last
yeah,
year.
should
I
have
know.
been, yeah.
So it's at least they're not in the situation like the Panthers. They picked up Sam Darnold's 5th-year option, owed him a lot of money, and he laid an egg this past season. So if he has another Daniel Jones season like he's been doing his whole career, thanks for coming. We move on. If not, you have a decision to make. If he goes crazy this year, I doubt it. But it's something that I was interested in. I was thinking like, because he kept slipping this guy and slipping and slipping. Like, do the Giants go Malik Willis right
That's what I
now and
thought
make
too.
things a little interesting? But I think the Giants might know something. I think they know we're not going to be good this year.
Yeah,
We know,
I agree.
we have a feeling Daniel Jones is not really going to be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what's happening next year? The QB stock in the draft gets much higher. The QBs in the draft next year on paper are apparently a lot better than what was put out this year. So I think they're like, know what? We're not going to go Malik Willis. We're not going to go with the Howells or anyone else or the Ritters in the late rounds because we'll just roll the dice with Daniel Jones.
Maybe if they were there like round 6 or 5, because
Yeah,
where they go all like 3 and 4, maybe. I
Kenny
don't.
know.
Kenny
they were-
Pickett was the
someone-
only first round
Someone
quarterback.
went undrafted out of the names.
Sam
Yeah.
Howell.
Howell went undrafted.
Howell went
Willis
undrafted?
went
Okay.
like 4, I think, to Tennessee.
Did Matt Corral get drafted?
He
He went
did.
to Carolina.
Some-
Someone
did.
went 3. It was
Desmond Ritter. I
Ritter
think.
went
Ritter
3
went
to
to
the
the
Falcons,
Falcons, yeah.
3. So I thought I think the Giants passed, and it wasn't just the Giants. Everyone was passing on these
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think the Giants like, all right, if Daniel Jones works out this year, great.
Mhm.
Then we might have our guy. If not, okay, we'll get a good
It's always
draft.
next year. Yeah.
And there's a lot of names that, again, on paper that everyone's loving next year for the Giants. So next year is looking like the Giants QB draft opposed to this year. Because I saw some crazy things like the Steelers got to move up into the top 10 this year and take, I think it wasn't even Willis or Pickett. I saw some, I think it was a former Patriots linebacker. I think McGinnis, he's an analyst now, said like, I don't know if it was McGinnis. I don't want to be speaking absolutes, but it was an NFL analyst said the Steelers got to move in the top 10 and take. It wasn't even Pickett or Malik Willis or some other guy, and all
a quarterback though.
a quarterback,
Okay.
yeah, one of the other guys. It was just like, and none of these guys went except for Pickett in the first round. So it just kind of showed like, no, the Giants. Worst case scenario, Daniel doesn't work out. We move on from him. We go into next year in a much better, on paper, QB draft class.
Yeah.
But another challenge the Giants have in front of them now, they got the draft done, which on paper, everyone's loving. You got to cut some salary cap now. They're in cap hell, and they got to move some names. James Bradbury, I saw, is a name that might be on the move.
He was supposed to. Yeah, he's been in trade rumors all off season. I saw.
Didn't they move Peppers already? Jabril Peppers is out.
they
He's on the
did.
Patriots, right?
I don't know. I don't actually remember.
I think he's on the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't think he's
now.
on the team.
Yeah.
He's not on the team.
You got a huge
Yeah,
fat
Patriots.
contract in Kenny Galladay that did
Yeah.
nothing for you last year. Joe is bringing up. Joe's getting tense
He's
over there
fuming right
just
now.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
So Giants expect nothing this year and hope for the best going in this year. It's going to be another tough sledding, most likely. Only hope. Not only hope. The things you're looking for is these two names we just mentioned, Thibodeau and Neal, to show you that, know what? Good start for Joe Shane. Good start for what's the coach's name?
Brian Dable.
Brian Dable. I thought it was another. Joe Judge. He's not in the picture. Yeah. So you want to see these two guys that they just picked. You don't need an MVP season out of both of them. You just need to see them play well, because then it's a good thumbs up off the bat for your new GM, your new coach. If you're the Giants,
I wanted to bring up.
and you got to cut a lot of salary cap.
I wanted to bring up Joe Shane too. Like I'm going to compare it to the Jets and Joe Douglas's first draft. Like I think with this, and you're questioning the wide receiver pick. I think you just want to see that Joe Shane knows what he wants, and this new regime, and they understand where the needs are and where they want to go. Like I'm looking at this draft right now, and yeah, you can question the wide receiver pick, but also behind that pick, they drafted 2 more guards to go along with Evan Neal, who's another offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted 2 defensive backs. They drafted 2 linebackers. They drafted a defensive tackle. So like they had a lot of picks, and they spread it out all over the roster.
And
so I think that's something good to see, and you just gotta hope that at least half of these guys pan out.
Everything was deliberate. from Joe Shane and the organization. I mean, the 2 times that Joe Shane and the Giants traded back, those happened like within a 7-minute span, right? So they sent pick 36 to the Jets for 38 and 146. And then moments later, they moved back again and shipped 38 to Atlanta for number 43 and 114. So they went in with a plan. I think they executed it perfectly. Maybe there were a couple guys that they didn't quite get that they had their eyes on. We might not know until that comes out. But at the top of the draft, where they had a prime golden opportunity to improve and get immediate starters, I think they did that. Obviously, it's always possible for it to not work out. But looking at the draft and the way things shook out, I don't think that you can say Joe Shane did a bad job by any means.
Like I said, I think he did a good job filling in a lot of holes in a lot of areas.
What he was supposed to do.
And the other thing you brought up, the trade with the Jets, wouldn't it be funny that's a lot of things because they traded away the pick where the Jets took a running back and they're having their own question marks with Saquon Barkley. So if Breece Hall turns out to be a great running back, then it's just kind of like a little glimmer just to bring a little negativity to it. But you're not worried about that right now at all.
Yeah.
So as always, we go live on Twitter Spaces every Monday night. And as always, my dad likes to chime in on the conversations. He probably got a lot to say about the draft because I was with him actually this past weekend. Probably has stuff to say. After this, I was going to kick to Joe for the news and notes to talk some more draft, but I'm sure he has a lot to say about
Hello.
Team.
He's here.
He's here. Hello.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
What's
How's it
up?
going?
Fine.
Good.
Michael, you spent the whole weekend with this guy.
Yeah, I know. we're going over each draft choice one by one.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Michael. You're the resident Jet fan on the podcast. So you safe to say the Jets are out of the rebuilding stage? You would say?
I would say, yes. I would say now you're looking more towards seeing the production and seeing it all translate on the field. I would think, yeah, that rebuilding excuse I think is 1 foot out the door, possibly 2, depending how the season works. So it's not like if they go another 3-4 wins, I think you look at it as like a complete failure. Last year, a 3-4 win season, it's just like, all right, the roster's still not there, but now you just got to hope that it's not as stagnant as it was.
All right, so you're out of the rebuilding stage. What's a successful year next year? I know it's early, but this is a podcast. This is what you do on podcast.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna jump to the future.
Right.
A successful year is obviously competing for a playoff spot. But like a wild card spot, that would be a successful year, without a doubt. I think. Maybe a little more realistic is 500. Get as close to 500 as you possibly can, even though you can't go 500 anymore. But
yeah, 500. I know you can't go 500 anymore, but in that division, if you're 9-8, I don't know if you're going to make the playoffs. It all falls back down on that quarterback now. This is his second year. I mean, you said I heard you say earlier they beefed up the offensive line somewhat.
I'm saying it made a drastic change from like 2 years ago. So like it's just been gradually getting better, in my opinion.
Right, because wasn't he the most sacked quarterback last year? I think
probably Burrow was.
Oh yeah, Burrow was
probably Joe Burrow.
They weren't.
All he did was go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm not saying the offensive line is good or like great. I'm just saying it's definitely improved over the course of the last 2 seasons. They've made their moves and they've addressed it.
Yeah, but the Jets definitely have some pressure on them now.
Definitely. Especially being in New York. Sorry, Joe.
If I can interrupt for 1 sec, I do agree that the Jets have pressure on them, but I completely disagree with you, Ringle, that they're out of the rebuilding stage. I think not
in a competing way, but like in a way that
I think they're still fully in rebuilding mode because you made a lot of high caliber draft picks, but you do not have an all-pro defensive end, you do not have an all-pro cornerback, you do not have an all-pro wide receiver in the guys that you drafted. This is not the end. This is the beginning for these guys. They haven't done anything on the football field yet. So I still think that there's things that need to fall into place. Yes, you got your guys, but now they need to do what you expect them to do.
It's hard to tell right now with everything.
But that's exactly why I think
being
that
on paper.
That's the exact reason why I think that you're rebuilding still.
Right, but they have a solid foundation, much better than the Giants.
Yes.
Even though I love that linebacker from Oregon that the Giants picked, and that offensive lineman Neal, that guy's a beast.
He's huge. He's gigantic.
Yeah, that guy's a beast. I used to watch him with Alabama, and like you said, Joe, he doesn't miss games. That guy, so he's pretty damn durable. And one last thing, remember this now. I'm biased.
I know
here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Just
biased.
disclaimer: he's been saying this the whole weekend.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
get ready for
Let's hear it.
I've heard it probably 500 times.
About the Jets? About
No,
the
no,
Jets?
it's about the Steelers.
about
the
Steelers.
Remember,
You just knew this was coming, man.
Yeah.
Remember Montana to Rice, right? Pickett's to Pickens. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah, he's been saying this all weekend.
Right to the
Well,
Hall of
then I'm
Fame.
going to say Wilson to Wilson.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to jump
No,
on
I
that.
doubt it. I doubt
He
it.
doubts it. There's no way. There's no way to know.
the-
There's no
the
way to
pick-
know.
The pick of the draft was Kenny Pickett's. I'm telling you. Write it down, boys.
Well, I understand why you hope that's the case.
Yeah,
You're a fan, but
Write it down.
I liked
Forget
it. I liked the pick too,
But
and it was perfect timing. So I got off the plane, and he met
Yeah.
me, and he so like Twitter is like ahead of everybody. So like
Right.
Yeah.
before the Steelers announced like they were on the clock, we knew the pick.
Mhm.
So I got off the plane, and I didn't know he was my dad. He was a big Kenny Pickett guy, and I got off the plane. I'm like, oh, they took Pickett, and he had no idea. He's like, he's like, do you think they took Pickett? I'm like, no, they took Pickett.
you were like a godsend to him
Yeah,
coming off
exactly.
that plane.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
took Pickett.
Like Jordan
After seeing
came.
he
Jordan
landed-
came. Jordan came from New
After
York with the
seeing he
news.
landed, after he's seen that he landed safely, the next important thing to me was Pickett.
What about all the talk about Pickett's small hands, though?
Oh, who cares, man? Look at Joe
Joe,
Burrow.
don't talk about
Who
that.
cares about Zach
Pickett-
Wilson's
I don't
turnover
think it. I don't
issues?
think it means anything. I just wanted.
Yeah,
to
like
What's
he
say
said,
today-
Burrow has small
what's-
hands too. Not like
Yeah, what-
they're a little bit
what's
But
bigger
listen,
than his.
day?
this is gonna be corny. This is cheesy, but honestly, nobody knows a damn thing. The entire
Nobody
draft
knows
is a
damn thing, you're
complete. The entire draft is a complete crapshoot. It really
Especially
is.
when it-
Ritter
when
could
it
be
comes-
the Ritter could be the best quarterback in this entire draft. He can be a stud. Nobody knows. Willis could
Yeah,
be the
but-
best quarterback in this draft. A guy
especially
that
when
went
it comes to
undrafted could be the
measurements.
best quarterback in this draft. Nobody knows.
Oh yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But this guy is a 5-year. He played college ball for 5 years. I know it's the New York sports show, but he played college ball for 5 years.
Mhm.
And the guy's, he's a prototypical quarterback as far as I'm concerned. And then there's those other picks they picked were pretty damn good too. So Pickett's to Pickens. Write it down,
You
fellas.
gotta remember it. If this
No,
guy,
I like the pick too. I
Yeah.
like the pick too.
if
I'm not-
they
I'm not
connect on
knocking
one
it.
touchdown, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Just write him in the Hall of Fame.
I know. Yeah, he's a big fan of these
Yeah.
two picks.
It's
Yeah,
good.
he-
No, you have every right to be happy about it.
He's a young Big Ben in my book. So
You know, I was
gotta hope.
we'll get into that when we talk about the draft more.
I do want to
I
say
will.
one thing though. Is in your opinion, is he starting week 1?
He's gonna fight for it with Trubisky.
Yeah. But do you think he's
the
ready to
other
start
though-
right now, or do you see him sitting a year?
under and over is 5, game 5.
He's not a guy that's gonna sit a year. Like every other quarterback taken is gonna sit a year. Pickett's not gonna sit a year.
No.
He'll
Tough.
fight for the number 1 spot. If Trubisky
But if
wins
he
it,
doesn't,
then he'll wind up playing during the season at some point.
Trubisky
but
will
if
get
Trubisky's
injured.
serviceable enough, then he won't. It'll be like a Trey Lance kind of
If
deal.
he's
I feel.
yeah, I see
If
that.
he's serviceable enough, then if Trubisky's just like treading water, then I don't think you see Pickett at all.
No, because Kenny Pickett's more ready than Trey Lance. So if Trubisky is serviceable, then that might not be good enough. If they're winning games, but Trubisky, in spite of Trubisky, they'll make the switch.
Why is Pickett more ready than Trey Lance?
'Cause-
If
'cause
Trey
he's-
Lance went 3 and
Trey-
Pickett,
You can pick a quarterback in the top 10, they not be ready.
Trey
Look at
Lance only
Mahomes.
played
I
10
get that.
games in college, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trey Lance did not play a
oh,
long
you're saying
college career.
you're saying just because Pickett played so much,
yeah,
He played five
Yeah.
years.
and again, analysts take it with a grain of
but that
salt.
doesn't
though.
mean
He-
that doesn't mean he's ready. That
No,
doesn't-
I'm again take it with a grain of salt,
Yeah.
if you may. But all the analysts said out of all the quarterbacks, Pickett is the most NFL ready, and that's why
He's
the
the
Steelers
most
picked him.
NFL ready, yeah.
Steelers picked him with no hesitation. And
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin even said there's a chance he can be the week 1 starter if he wins the role.
If
Mhm.
if Trubisky is the week 1 starter, do you see them sprinkling in Kenny Pickett, kind of like they did at the beginning of last season with Trey Lance and Jimmy
no, he's
Garoppolo?
not that type
No,
of
he's not
quarterback.
that type of
Yeah.
quarterback,
Yeah,
Pickett.
no,
No, I understand what you're saying, Joey, but he's not that type of quarterback. But listen, it's going to be an open competition, they said. So, but you know how it works, guys. If you got a big draft pick, and they paraded this guy, remember Jordan when we were
Yeah.
watching him on Twitter all over Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
You're gonna have him start as a backup, which is fine. But one pick Trubisky throws, you're gonna start hearing.
You're gonna hear the boo birds and the floodgates are gonna open. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's not a bad thing if he sits. I don't think if he ends up sitting the entire season, I don't think that's a net. But I'm just saying if he does end up with the exception of
the only way he sits the whole season if Trubisky has like an MVP if he just
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that
that's 100% the case.
That's the case.
Oh, that's 100%.
Why would you take out Trubisky if he's playing like an MVP candidate?
No. I'm saying that you're saying that's the only way.
Yes, because Kenny Pickett's not a project. He's ready.
Okay, no, but the analysts are saying he's ready, but that doesn't mean he's ready.
No.
They're predicting that he's ready. I'm not saying that he's not ready, but I'm not.
No, the Steelers also know he's ready too. Tomlin literally said that he can be the week 1 starter.
Why would he say that? Are ready?
How could you can't say that right now?
The Steelers said it.
The Steelers can't say that right now.
He
hasn't played an NFL game. He hasn't played against NFL talent.
Neither did Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow was the week 1 starter. How many quarterbacks went in the first round? They were the week 1 starter because everyone knows they're ready to play in the NFL.
You're saying that he'll get a shot, but whether he's successful or not.
Yeah, well, the preseason is going to determine a lot.
That's what I'm getting. That's where I'm getting at
the way they play. But I don't see, like Jordan mentioned, unless Trubisky's having an MVP season. Other than that, Pickett will play.
That's the only way.
See, but I'm saying I don't think that's the case. Let's just live in a world where maybe he doesn't have a great preseason and the transition to the NFL. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's just say if his transition to the NFL, the Steelers see that maybe he's not getting or maybe the talent's not there, then I think Trubisky could have a mediocre treading water season, and maybe they want him to sit the year to learn.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening though.
But that's not unrealistic.
It's a lot more unrealistic than realistic. That's more unlikely to happen. That him falling apart and just being.
I'm not saying he's falling apart. I'm just saying he's not ready. He's not getting.
I could see that with Ritter or Howell because they all slipped to the 3rd round. One went undrafted. But the reason why the Steelers, no hesitation, picked Kenny Pickett when they had every other option on the board is because they know he will be ready.
They believe he will be ready.
They know. They know he'll be ready.
And
again, I said this to you,
the Steelers do draft well, so
this isn't the Lions or the Falcons picking a quarterback. This is the Steelers.
No,
they know what they're doing.
I was just going to say the Steelers do draft. The Steelers do draft well, so I guess you can give them that benefit of the doubt.
That's why I'm very confident in this pick.
I'm just tallying on my crapshoot comments. Like nobody knows anything.
There's no rebuild here. And you know what, Jordan? I heard that pick the wide receiver from Memphis.
Memphis. Oh, the young guy.
That guy. They say he's going to be another Tariq Hill.
Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin. Alec likes that pick.
Yeah.
Alec loves that guy.
That's it, guys. We're going to the Super Bowl next year.
I know.
Write it down.
Steelers Jets in the AFC Championship game.
Exactly.
Rematch.
That's how it's going. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Rematch. All right, guys. Thanks for the time. I'll listen.
Of course.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Got it. Bye.
So I'll send it over to Joe now for our news and notes segment. A little bit about the draft, a little bit of extra stuff within sports. So Joe, knock yourself out.
Yeah, so strong draft for the Jets and the Giants, but also strong draft for a couple teams who made some surprise trades during the draft. They all came in quick succession. I don't know. Actually, don't remember which one was first, but we'll start with this one just because it leads into some news that happened today. So during the draft, the Cardinals traded for Raven speed wide receiver Hollywood Brown. Cousin
that one was first.
That one was first. Beautiful. I got it in the correct order then. Cousin of Antonio Brown. A pretty inconsistent player, but he seems to be highly regarded by teams. He's got the downfield speed.
Hollywood Brown. Okay, I'm like AJ Brown.
No.
Hollywood.
Hollywood Marquise Brown is the newest member of the Arizona Cardinals. Another weapon for Kyler Murray, who's had his own sort of drama over the offseason. He's now committed to playing for Arizona. And so that happened. And we say, okay, they're doing things to make him happy. Today, just a couple hours before the show, Cardinals receiver Deandre Hopkins was suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's PED policy. So now question is, did the Cardinals know this was coming? And did they make this trade in anticipation of that to do whatever they could to remain competitive offensively? Hopkins will be able to participate in all the team activities leading up to the season. He'll be able to practice with them, participate in preseason, but that time with the club will come to an end for 6 weeks. Come week 1, He missed 7 games last year, including the final 4. So it kind of makes you wonder if maybe, during his rehab, he took something that he wasn't supposed to. I mean, details may never come out, but that's the situation in Arizona, and it's a tough blow for a team that just fell flat at the end of last season and significantly underperformed.
Yeah, weren't they 11-0? They pulled the Steelers.
Yeah, were they? Did they go to 11-0?
I think so.
Did it go that far?
They were at least 9 or 10. I think.
So I mean that was a team that was flying high, no pun intended, and came crashing down pretty quick. So for at least the 6 weeks, they'll have Hollywood Brown instead of DeAndre Hopkins. But the good thing is that Kyler Murray is one of the most accurate passers in downfield throws, and Hollywood Brown is a guy that likes to get downfield. So hopefully the two can mesh and they can find some success in Hopkins' absence. Shortly following that trade, I think it was only a matter of mere minutes. It was when I walked away from my phone. All the trades,
yes, I remember I was texting
all the
you.
trades happened. But Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts has a new weapon in Titans receiver AJ Brown, which came to the surprise of a lot of people, including players on the Tennessee Titans. Titans traded an 18th overall pick and the 101st pick for AJ Brown. So as a Giant fan, I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
That we're going to have to see him a few times a year, but that's the situation in Philadelphia. They got a lot of weapons now. He'll be playing along opposite side. Devontae Smith. Thank you. Obviously, Dallas Goedert has become a reliable weapon for Jalen Hurts. I think the question in Philly, though, if we're looking at them as a team, is what is Jalen Hurts?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, mediocre. Yes. Could he be more than mediocre next season with AJ Brown? Maybe. That's clearly Philly's hope.
Gleyber Torres 2-run home run.
2-0 Yankees, top 4.
You sounded
Toronto.
ecstatic.
Yeah, right. I gave the fist.
Try to contain your enthusiasm.
Just saying, yes, it sound.
So a couple big stars moved during the draft that have already been in the league, but a couple of, or I guess one star and one would like to be
falling star, I guess.
Falling star, beautiful. I love
go.
that. Did not move. Deebo Samuel is still a 49er. Baker Mayfield is still a Cleveland Brown. I
think Baker will not be a Cleveland Brown at some point.
You would like to think.
But Deebo might stick a 49er.
The thing with Deebo is he is unhappy with his role in that offense. He doesn't want to be a wide receiver running back combo. I can't blame him. He's not getting paid like one, and his body is going to wear down a lot quicker than just pure wide receivers. So he wants to be a pure wide receiver. If the 49ers are willing to kind of change things up and give him the role that he wants, maybe things will work out. It is kind of crazy, though, when you think that the Eagles gave up the 18th and the 101st, 101 for AJ Brown, and what the Jets offered for Deebo Samuel wasn't good enough.
Well, I think what the Jets offered for Deebo Samuel in the draft, I will repeat it right now. I think it was
10.
It was the 10th overall pick and a 5th round pick, and I think they were getting back Deebo Samuel, of course, and a 2nd rounder in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if at the time, if obviously they didn't pick Garrett Wilson yet, I think I would have been okay with that deal.
I would have been okay with that too.
I didn't want to give up 10 because you weren't giving up 10 in the Tyreek Hill deal. You were giving up the 2 second-round picks that you had. So I didn't want to give up 10, but in that deal, you're getting a 2nd-round pick back. So I think that kind of eases the blow a little bit. And you're getting Deebo Samuel, who's, of course, an established receiver in the league. So that would have been great. But on the 49ers side, I think that's a low-ball offer, and I do understand why they didn't take the deal. I do understand from their end.
It puts into perspective just how crazy the Browns deal for Amari Cooper was, which was a 5th-round pick?
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's just insane.
I think because he has a fat contract.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money.
But I mean,
Douglas was trying to take advantage of the leverage that the Niners didn't have with Deebo, threatening not to play and wanting out. So he took his shot, but the Niners didn't go for it.
So a lot of movement in the league. We're still waiting for some chips to fall, and then obviously a lot of new, young, fresh faces in new places that we'll be looking out for in terms of the rookies, especially in the New York area. But moving on, I think we've only exclusively talked about football this entire show.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about the draft, a team I think that's not getting enough love. They've probably gotten some love, but I think they had a fantastic I'll just stick with the first round. Is the Baltimore Ravens. I think these 2 picks in the first round are going to be studs for them.
They're getting love.
And
they're getting love.
Then I'm missing it then. But yeah, as a Steeler fan, I'm not going to be biased here. I made this comparison before with the Steelers. If it's the Lions or the Falcons or like the Jaguars picking a quarterback at 20, then it's like, okay, the Steelers taking Kenny Pickett at 20, they did their homework and I trust them. The Ravens taking a center and the safety in the first round, I feel like Linderbaum at center is going to be, even though Marshall Yanda was a guard, he's going to be the new Marshall Yanda for them. He's going to be a brick wall for the Ravens. And I feel like Kyle Hamilton's going to be a beast in that secondary that's just getting healthier.
He was a gift.
Yeah. Marcus Williams, they
he was
signed.
supposed to go top 10.
Marcus Peters has come back from an ACL injury last year. And another one, Jimmy Smith. Really good corner on their team. I'm blanking on the name. He's their number 1 corner. He got hurt at the end of the season for Baltimore. He's coming back.
Is it Jimmy Smith? Why am I thinking that too?
Was it Jimmy? Is it Jimmy Smith?
I feel like it is.
Look at their depth chart.
I am.
The Ravens also got a Jabbo.
Yeah, an edge in the second round. But that first round, I feel like those 2 guys, the Ravens in the when it comes to secondary, just know what they're doing.
They killed it.
And
Marcus Peters.
No, it's not Marcus Peters. It's another guy.
Oh,
is it Jimmy Smith?
What are you asking?
I'm looking. There was a guy that got hurt last year. He's their best defensive back. Not Marlon Humphrey.
Marlon Humphrey.
He's okay. It's Marlon Humphrey. He's coming back healthy. I'm pretty sure he got hurt the back end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they add Kyle Hamilton, and Linderbaum's going to be a brick wall. I really liked.
They signed Marcus Williams in the offseason too. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't really listening.
That's twice.
You check out all the time.
I do. But
so give me it's my bad.
At least when I mess up, it's like 2 seconds.
Sometimes
later.
I look at you when we're discussing things, and you just have the most blank stare. And I don't even know.
I'm calling him right now. He's texting in our group chat during the show. So I'll call him out right now. Like I see the messages come up, and we're having a conversation, and he's having 2.
No, I'm telling you, sometimes I look at Jordan and he's just like this.
Yeah, he's typing
and he's
away.
like twiddling his mustache.
Yeah.
No,
that's how it happens.
And I'm like, is this guy
he's trying to get some handlebars
going? You could be talking about like $1 million deal, and I would still tone
but
down the conversation.
But it's funny though because he looks like.
attention.
But if you pass it over to him, he kind of listens a little bit, and he'll pick it up. It might not be the smoothest, but
some things do get through. We will give him that.
I'm listening enough to be able to, if like Joe goes like, Jordan, what do you think about that? Like, yeah, the Knicks, they didn't look really good last night.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
You know what we could say? He's a good multitasker.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
I can text in the group chat.
Turn a negative into a positive.
But is it better to do a few things kind of okay, or to do like one thing?
That's
really,
a different conversation.
Really
That's a different conversation.
Right? Like I'm texting about the Maple Leaf Tampa Bay game while listening to Joe talk about the draft while doing my research on the Ravens, all at like 75%. So 3 things at 75%. What's that equal?
What's that quote though from Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec? Never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing.
Yeah.
So I'm doing 3 things at 225%.
So you were.
I don't think that's how the math.
So
instead of one thing at 100%, I'm doing 3 things at 225%.
You're a third. You're giving 33%.
Joe, I think my math checks out. Joe,
you're giving 33.333 repeating percent.
I think Joe, I think it checks out.
3 things.
I think it checks out.
You should be giving.
But when you simplify, you're still only giving 75%.
But I'm doing 3 things at 225.
But when you simplify,
where are you getting 225?
That's what I'm getting
75 times 3 is 225.
You can't just make up numbers.
But when you simplify it, you're still only at 75.
What's the higher number? 100 or 225?
Your higher numbers are relevant.
I'm doing multiple things.
Jordan, the higher numbers are relevant.
I'm not dying on this.
I know you.
Your maximum output is 100%. So you can only divide up that 100%.
But that might be your maximum output. My maximum output is 225.
For the sake of the argument, we all have to assume that we have the same output.
No,
you don't have.
What happens if we assume?
You don't have 275.
What happens if we assume?
Joe, he's a monster.
So if you have 275, I have 300.
I'm a genetic freak. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know about that.
I didn't mean that when I said that, but
that's where I get the 225 from.
He did it again. He hijacked my news and notes.
Well, I didn't hijack. I just added to the draft stuff because you were to skip over my Ravens conversation.
Well, we didn't have that penciled in.
Joe, I told you. I didn't tell him that.
No,
there it is.
I know, because I told you do the draft, and we could talk about the draft. But little did I know, Joe was just going to talk about the draft.
We're here for a good time. We're here for a good time.
Joe's just mad he can't maximize at 225% like I can. So I'm a genetic freak.
Still
Joe, go.
It's
What's
still
the next
75%.
What's the next topic, Joe?
I don't
know Maple
know.
Leafs
Now,
scored.
now I might just go rogue on you. Might talk basketball. You guys want to talk basketball?
No, God, no. What's next other than basketball?
The last topic is the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, thank
I
God.
wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that the playoffs have arrived.
I didn't. Thank God.
4 games on the slate tonight. Rangers are in. Jordan Islanders, where are they at?
They're not in.
They're not
They're
in.
on my shirt.
Now
Yeah,
you,
I don't know why you're wearing
now
that
you may
shirt.
take the the
Yeah,
wheel.
the Maple Leafs just scored. They've been all over Tampa so far in this game. So they're up 1-0 right now. What other games? We got Boston, Carolina 0-0. What else we got tonight? We got the Blues Wild, which will be a fun series at 9:30. Then the late night shift, Kings and the Oilers.
On the midnight shift.
You got the favorites.
Midnight train.
You got in the West, you got Colorado and Calgary. I like whoever comes out of the Wild and Blues series. I also like. I just don't know who's going to come out of the series. That's a tough one to call. But whoever comes out of that series is going to be shot because I think that's going to be a bloodbath for St. Louis and Minnesota. And the winner of that has to play Colorado. So it's a tough hill for that series. But I do like both of those teams in the Blues and in the Wild. And then in the East, I mentioned this before. The Panthers. They're playing one of the teams that I think they match up well against, which is Washington. I think they'll walk through Washington. And then after that, whoever they run into, I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Panthers because I don't like their goaltending. Boston and Carolina. Carolina's Frederik Andersen's out, but Ranta's doing the job right now. So far, so good for the Hurricanes. But I like Boston in that series. I think they can upset Carolina. I like Tampa Bay in this series against Toronto, but Toronto's up 1-0 with 50 seconds left in the period. At home, they played the much better first period, but right now the puck's in the offensive zone for Tampa. But I do like the defending Stanley Cup champions. Pittsburgh and Rangers, this series, I mentioned before, can go either way, but I'll pick the Penguins due to the more experienced team in the playoffs compared to the Rangers, even though Jari's out. DeSmith is okay, but Jari's coming off a monster season. It's just a matter if he can prove it in the playoffs, but I think he's out the first 2 games for Pittsburgh, but I'll go with Pittsburgh because I like they have more veteran experience when it comes to the playoff time. And then what else we got?
Playoff time.
Yeah, though I think I tackled all of the Eastern Conference teams. Oh, the Avalanche, I think. Oh, breakaway for the Leafs with 10 seconds left. Nylander, stopped by Vasilevsky. That would have been huge. Go 2-0 at the end of the first period for the Leafs. Another series where, and I'll go back to the West for the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche would have beat Nashville soundly, but now add on to it, Nashville doesn't have UC Saros for the first 2 games. I think that's a 2-0 hole waiting to happen for Nashville. So they already have an uphill climb.
A lot of big goalie injuries.
A lot of big goalie. That's 3 right off the rip right
Yeah.
there. So yeah, first period ends Tampa up down 1-0 against Toronto. And the other game, Boston, Carolina, as I speak, is 16 minutes left in the second. That game's tied. Boston has 16 shots already on Ranta. Wow. And he's holding the fort down with Anderson, who had like a Vezina caliber season. But for the Rangers, let's stick with the Rangers right now, or New York team. You got the Vezina Trophy winner in net, MVP candidate in net. You got a 50-goal scorer in Kreider. Panarin, you got to love what you see. The new guys, Vetrano and Andrew Kopp, have all stepped up.
My boy Kopp. I love Kopp.
Why do you love Kopp?
I don't know. I had him in fantasy last year, and he was great, and he's doing great this year too.
Yeah, he had a good second half with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Very good. I think he had a hat trick against the Islanders. That last
I had him
week.
early this year in fantasy, but then I dropped him because just my team. Was,
You had him last year? I had him last year. I thought I had him.
we were
last
back and forth last year, and then I was back and forth with Nick with him this year a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember having Andrew Kopp last year. Did I have him first? I think I had him first. Then you got him. I think
don't
I had him
remember.
first.
I don't remember.
I want to say I had him first, and then you picked him up. And then this year, yeah, I didn't have him. But I remember, yeah, you and Nick this year went back and forth with him. But again, with the Rangers, there's not much experience there in the playoffs. That's my concern. Panarin's been there. I believe Zibanejad has a little dip of the toes in playoff experience. And Shesterkin, here we go, playoff time. He is a Vezina win. He's going to win the Vezina. He's definitely going to be in the MVP conversation, which I think might go to Matthews in Toronto. And now it's can he do it in the playoffs? That's the big concern, because if he's not on, you can kiss your chances goodbye if you're the Rangers. If he's not on, he's going to have hopefully he can steal you some games, and he's definitely the goalie to do it based on this past season, because again, like I said, he'll win the Vezina Trophy, but unfortunately I think the Penguins can notch it out. I don't think it's going to be a 4 or 5 game series. I think this can go 6, possibly 7 for the Penguins to knock off the Rangers. But out of the East, I like Boston and Tampa coming out of the Boston or Tampa. But if Boston loses to Carolina, I like Carolina or Tampa coming out of the East. And I like Colorado and not Nashville
Calgary.
and Calgary coming out of the West. I'll pick Calgary though. Coming out of the West, my bracket, I had Calgary beating Tampa in the finals, and there's your winner, rematch of the 2004 Stanley Cup.
I have Colorado beating Florida.
Oh, you have the Panthers going all the way.
I do.
I just don't like their goaltending. I really don't. I think if whoever they play next round, they're gonna get killed.
I know. I see that too, and you've been saying that for weeks now, and I do agree with you. But I just feel like their offense is so good. I understand defenses are more in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, it changes so much.
But they're just like insane right now, and I don't know. Vaz is still very good, but I feel like he's not as elite as he's been.
Vasilevsky?
He still can be elite, but I'm just saying he just didn't have that elite year this year. So
I think he had the elite year. I mean, I don't know what else you're asking.
He didn't have like a 2. He didn't have like a 2.
He probably had a 2.1. It's like
no, it was like a 5, I think.
Wait, what are you talking about? A 5? Oh,
2.5.
He had 2.49 goals against with a 916.
Isn't he usually going? Isn't he closer to 2?
That's fair. That's not a Vasilevsky.
That's what I'm saying.
He had a good season, but that's not a Vasilevsky season.
But can he switch back to that in the playoffs? 100%.
He's playoff Vasilevsky's ridiculous.
Yeah, he can 100% switch back, but you don't know if you're going to see that there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that
he still had a good season, but this is like you're right. That's fair. He did not have a Vasilevsky like season. But he did. I think he led the league in wins.
No, I think he's still a very, very good goalie. Probably still the best in the league. But
yeah, he is still.
Just maybe not this year. That's what I'm saying.
All right, back to Joe. We're over an hour, and we still got to do Yankees and Mets.
I know it is a long show.
I got nothing else.
You got nothing else, Joe?
Joe's clearing the schedule for us.
Joe checked out.
I can talk about anything.
Oh, I thought. Oh no. See, I took it the way Joe meant it. You took it like Joe's done with the conversation.
No, I got no more news and notes.
I mean Joe's done with the news and notes.
So
that's
wrong.
how I took it.
Yeah.
I took it. You said that like we're at an hour and we got more to talk. I took it as like I got nowhere else to be. That's where I took it.
But I will say I appreciate you kicking it back to me to just kind of bookend it. You know, after you took it, you took it from me, so you passed the baton back.
Well, no, you didn't take. I didn't take anything. You gave it to me.
No. You took it. And then gave it back to me just so I could give it back to you, which I think was a little bit of a power move on your end.
No, I took the draft from you because I want to talk Ravens. Then I gave it back to you, and then you brought up the playoffs, and you gave it to me.
This is a fun.
The only thing I took from you, I didn't really take it because it was still on topic, was the draft. I did the Ravens, and then I gave it back to you. You talked about the Stanley Cup playoffs. You said, "Did you know they were on?" I'm like, "Oh, they're on." And then I talked about it and gave it back to you. You lose that battle, Joe.
9 times out of 10.
Exactly. Just for that, Joe.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go?
Nope. Joe, just for that, we're doing the Yankees first because they're the best team in the league right now.
Save the best for last.
Yeah.
We'll go Mets.
Oh, then if that's the case, then we got to do Mets first because they're not the best team.
He's in a pickle right now.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
He doesn't put him in the spin cycle.
Yeah, now I don't know what we can do now.
That was very good, Joe.
Yeah,
that's very.
Because if that's the case, then we have to do the Yankees.
I don't know what I'm typing right now. I want to tweet it out, but I don't know what I'm typing, so I just had to stop.
Who's winning? Like the Yankees are up 2-0.
Mets are up 2-0.
Joe's on you.
The Mets are up 2-0, right? Oh, it's 2-1.
Oh, it was 2-0.
But the Yankees are also up 2-1 too.
Oh my God,
this is insane right
Wait,
now.
do the Yankees have any runners on? Like, who's closer to scoring again? The Mets or
the
the
Yankees.
Yankees aren't even up.
Oh, wait, the Yankees are about to
this
be
game
tied.
might be tied. Yeah, it's a runner on third.
Check the Mets.
That's a strike. Right,
if they tied it up on the next pitch, that would have been
Then I have to do the Mets.
Oh,
who's this guy?
Steve Gelbs.
Steve Gelbs. All right, I'm doing the Yankees while the Yankee game's on. Steve Gelbs.
Now I get tight.
Yeah, now you get tight. So the Yankees, I mentioned going into this 9-game winning streak. After they swept the Guardians, I believe it was.
Orioles were coming up.
It was a big series against the Orioles. It's like, why is the Orioles a big series? Because the Yankees can't beat them for the past couple of years. And it's been something the Yankees have been doing very poorly, which is playing down to their opponents past couple of years, especially last year, especially with the Orioles. So you just swept the Guardians, who came into that series red hot, scoring a lot of runs. And now it's like, do you go back to your old ways and you lay an egg? And the game is tied with the Yankees right now.
Keep it going.
And the Yankees were done forever.
We're done.
No, we keep it going. We keep it going.
I'm kidding.
Anyway,
well, because Mets are still last.
They sweep the Orioles, right? They sweep the Orioles and they put on a show. And the Yankees have been scoring runs like it's nothing.
Yeah, I will say every single time I check the Yankees, they have like 6 runs.
Yeah,
and I'm like, again,
they
just did this yesterday,
piling it on in the run department. And even the one game where they only scored 3 runs against the Royals, they shut them out on Saturday. And then yesterday, if this was the older Yankees from the past couple of years, they go down 4-1, and you're like, Well, they have that vibe where they're just, wow, Chapman got that off the end of the bat. Wow. Very early on the swing. Where it's like we're down 4-1 in the fifth, and it's just like you feel like the Yankees are going to mail it in again.
Yeah, there's no effort coming from anyone.
We got that vibe a lot the past couple of years, especially in the Boone era.
You got it at the beginning of the season.
Beginning of the season.
For a little bit. It's still the beginning of the season, but yeah.
But yeah, you get that vibe like, all right, they're going to mail it in. It's one of those games. But no, they score 5 unanswered, win the game, and they're in the middle of a 9-game winning streak. And good, another great sign. Garrett Cole coming off a terrible start to the season. 2 starts in a row, hasn't let up a run, has been dominant. So there's a little sigh of relief. The panic train comes to a halt on Garrett Cole. Judge looks fantastic. Rizzo, everyone's hitting the ball well, except I guess Gallo, but like he's hurt now. But everyone's been hitting. IKF's hitting over 300. Stanton's hitting with power. Rizzo and Judge are hitting great. Aaron Hicks, who me and Ringle ragged on all preseason, has been playing well. He was gone because his kid was born, but he's back now. I believe he's hitting, I think, now just under 200. DJ LeMahieu looks like he's come back to form. Gleyber Torres had a 2-run home run, but now it's been answered, so now it's 2-2. He's swinging the bat much better. So up and up right now for the Yankees. You don't have much to complain about. Yeah, it's early, but the Yankees haven't gotten off to a start like this since I don't even know when. And if you look at last year when they were like, 5-11, you're first in the league right now. And everything's looking very well. Bullpen's pitching very well, very good. The pitching's been just as good as it was last year. The hitting has been a lot more consistent early on than it was last year. But the thing is, and that's another base hit off Montgomery, but it's not going to score a run. But he's struggling to get this last out in the 4th inning. If you're Montgomery, again, here we go. I'm talking the Yankees up, and they're folding in front of my very eyes.
No, but you still have a lot to talk up. Yeah. Obviously,
thing is here, the team they're playing right now is doing just as well as the Blue Jays. I believe we only have a 1.5 game lead on them. Yeah, 1.5 game lead.
They're 15-8. You're 16-16.
Yep. And the Yankees schedule gets even. People might downplay this 9-game winning streak. I mean, look who you played. First of all, they swept the Guardians, who came in that series red hot, one of the highest scoring offenses in the league going in that series. And okay, then you got the Tigers, Royals, Orioles, sure, but you beat the teams in front of you. And again, comparing it to the Yankee teams of old, these games against the weaker opponents were dogfights and often losses. Now they're not just beating them; they're destroying them.
I was going to say, you're not even just beating them. It's not even like you're just winning the series. You're sweeping them. Mm-hmm. You swept the last 3 series. So for those naysayers that say, look who your teams you beat, yeah, obviously they're not playoff teams, but they're doing what they're supposed to do, and that's sweeping them and going on a win streak. Mm-hmm. Like the Mets are on a series streak right now with 7, but the Yankees are on a win streak. So that's something that kind of takes away that argument 100%. But like Jordan's saying, the team is hitting very good. You got 3 guys over 300. You got IKF, you got Judge and LeMahieu all over 300. You got Hicks, who we attacked, and he's batting 273 right now. He's shutting us up. That reminds me with Joe. I killed Brandon Nimmo. I killed him for years, and now he's been shutting me up the last season and so far at the beginning of this year.
Yeah,
Rizzo's your home run champion right now. Yeah. He's leading the league in home
Judge
runs.
Are 1 and 2.
Your Judges too. He's that close. Yeah. So they're playing very Torres. You're seeing life out of Gleyber Torres, which Yankee fans wrote him off.
Oh, the beginning of the season. Yeah.
So you're seeing life out of him. Yeah, it's still very early in the season. A lot can go right, a lot can go wrong still, but it's very good to see this type of consistency from this team.
I'll
so
make
far.
my comparison I did with football. If this is like the Pirates or like the Diamondbacks or the Tigers that get off to a good start, it's like, okay, maybe let's see what the reality hits.
No, you're right.
But Yankees get off to a good start. It's like, okay, this is something we could possibly see being something to just keep consistent all year. Again, the thing is, you're in a tough division. The Red Sox not off to a good start. The Rays 2 games over 500. Not the start they were looking for, considering how dominant they've been the past couple of years. Can the Yankees get out of this? They can. All right, so that's the end of that inning. The thing is, the Blue Jays are going to be on their tail the whole season, just like they are right now, and they just erased the 2-run deficit in the blink of an eye. So we're in a 2-2 game going into the top of the 5th right now in Toronto. But the Yankees schedule, as they took care of business 9 in a row, gets a little bit more difficult. They got 3 in Toronto. Then they're home against Texas, who's not been doing very well. Then they're home again against Toronto, 4 against Chicago. So and then 4 at Baltimore, and then they finish up against Chicago and Baltimore. and then the Rays in Tampa to finish.
You're just gonna go the whole way.
I was gonna stop, but then I'm like, you know what? There's some teams I want to mention. Like I want to mention the White Sox again because they play them two series. Then they play the Rays at the end of May, and then they play the Angels to start June, and then they play the Tigers and the Twins.
You're gonna go the whole 162
I'm
season.
running down the list. But no, I feel like I had to do the whole month at that point. And then in August,
I thought you would go 2, maybe 3 series ahead, and then you just kept going.
No,
and I'm
because
just like,
I was going to do that, but then I saw they played the White Sox again, and then I saw they played the Rays at the end of the month. So I'm like, I got to mention
And
that.
in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh my God! And then they play the Astros on July 21st, and
then we're waiting for next year's schedule to come out.
Oh my God! And then when do we even play the Mets? That's going to be a tough series.
When is
they don't play the Mets for like years? They just don't have the Mets on. I think they only have the Mets like 5 times this year.
It's kind of unfortunate given that both teams are playing really well.
They switch it. No, it's 4 times. They're back to this.
They're back to the stupid 2-2 thing.
Yeah, the 2-2 thing. I hate that.
Stupid.
Just play a full series.
Because then nobody can like
we can't have fun.
Yeah.
First game's July 26th at City Gardens.
It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Monday, Tuesday.
Because then it can't be like the series can't be 1-1, and then the third game it's like who's gonna take.
They can't just play a 3-game series. It's New York and New York. Like, come on,
it's lame.
I know we might have a tie this year, and then we'll never know who the best New York team in the world is. We'll never know.
The Mets took that World Series last year, I think.
They took the regular season World Series. Yeah, they did. I think they took the
I don't really remember
the regular season World Series.
Yeah, it was the World Series for us.
Yeah,
it was the World Series for us.
Head-to-head last year.
Yeah,
Joe.
Subway Series.
We were at the 9/11 game. Do you remember?
That game was incredible.
I know.
The Mets won that game, right?
That game was.
I think the Mets won that game.
Yeah, they won that game and they lost the one after.
Yeah, that game was insane.
That was a 3-game series. I think they took 2 out of 3 because the third game was the Lindor home run game. The 3 home runs.
Yeah.
Stanton
and last year they had 2 3-game series. Why do you got to keep switching back?
I think maybe the lockout messed things up. Threw a wrench into the plans.
Baseball's messed up.
You're messed up, man. You're messed up, man.
Damn.
All right, now we mentioned the Schmets. Why not get to them? I got to take the S out of Schmets because they are not the Schmets right now. They are.
Right. That's a big comment.
They are the Mets. They are the Mets. And the Mets, by the way, coming off a no-hitter the other day on Friday, a combined no-hitter, the second no-hitter in Mets history. Some people are arguing like, it's not as impressive. Okay, it's not as impressive as the one guy doing it for 9 innings, but it's very impressive. It's still a no-hitter.
When it's only been done, 17 times?
What, a combined?
It's impressive.
Yeah,
Baseball's been around for a while.
I found it impressive. Good for them.
I think it's arguably harder to do when you have different guys coming in and out.
No, it's not. It's harder to do if you're one guy.
Some people,
but if that one guy has so much dominance and so much control, yet I think that
so much he has to be dominant 9 innings in a row. 27.
I understand Ringle's point is that like everybody,
too, but
5 different guys came in and did what they needed to do. I think a lot of people,
but you got to have all those guys be on the same.
What's more impressive, a combined perfect game or a one guy perfect game?
Listen to me. I'm not saying that it's more impressive.
No, you kind of were in the beginning.
I said it could be arguable.
I don't think it's argued at all. I think the one guy.
I think you can argue it a little bit.
No, you can't, because the argument right now going all across sports after this no hitter is it comparable to one man? Because everyone's saying it's
and now I'm giving my reasons why,
because everyone's ripping it. That's why.
But just
they're saying it's not the same.
But just think about like what needs to go right. Now you have let's say Jacob deGrom throws a no-hitter or a perfect game and he's on. You're sitting there like, all right, he's just Jacob deGrom. He's just on, and no one can hit him, and that's that. But now you throw in Jacob deGrom plus 5 other bullpen guys that have to go in. You got to bank on all those other guys being on the same day, the same game, and that's another hard thing to do.
All those guys are coming in fresh. One fresh guy after another.
There's arguments for both sides.
I'm not a perfect game in the 7th inning, and he might be at 80 pitches. He's got to be still as fresh as he was in the first.
It's not
even comparable. It's not even arguable.
No, I'm saying it's comparable. I'm not telling you I'm on one side versus the other. I'm just saying I think you can make the argument because they both have their difficulties. They both have their pros and cons of where it can go.
It is difficult to throw a combined no-hitter. That's why I still think it's impressive. Like what Joe said, it's only been 17 ever.
You mentioned
it's not on the same level as, or arguably on the same level as the one guy doing it. You
mentioned that people are saying that it's not a good thing. It's not hard to do, or it's getting downgraded. So I was just giving you my reasons why it deserves the credit that it does. That's all.
Oh no, I trust
Yeah.
me, it deserves
Yeah.
credit, but it's not on the same level as it deserves credit to be recognized, but it's not comparable on the same level as one guy doing it. Try to tell me if the Mets threw a combined perfect game, it's the same as Max Scherzer throwing a perfect game, or it could be on the same level, or could be argued.
I don't think, if you want my opinion, I don't think it can be on the same level, but I think you can argue it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think you can argue it at all. It's not.
I'm thinking.
Close.
I'm saying other things have to happen. Other adversity or challenges have to happen.
Your argument.
Isn't.
It took 5 guys to do something where one guy can do it. What's more impressive when one guy does something?
But you can see both sides of it. Is what I'm saying. Like one guy could just be on, and you're like, all right. It's like a goalie giving having a shutout in the game. That guy's just on and nothing's getting
What's
past
more
him.
impressive,
now,
one goalie getting a shutout or the backup coming in the third period?
What if one goalie has a shutout, he gets hurt, and then the next guy stops a team, he gets hurt, and then the third guy comes in, still stops them, and the whole game's a shutout? That's impressive too, that all 3 guys were able to come in
again.
And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's not arguably, you can't make the argument that it's the same.
I'm not saying I'm making the argument.
And you can't say that 3 goalies getting the shutout combined, or really 2. You're not really going to get 3 unless it's the emergency backup. But when I get technical here, it's not the same as,
for the sake of
or comparable or arguable if 3 goalies get a shutout compared to 1 goalie. 1 goalie makes 50 saves in a shutout. That is 50 times more impressive, and not even close to the same level as 3 goalies getting.
I 100% agree
shutout.
with you. Okay, I 100% agree with you that it is more impressive over 1 guy, but it's still also a hard thing to do for.
Again, don't get me wrong. It's like I said to Joe, it's very impressive that 5 guys pitched a no-hitter for the Mets and should be counted as a no-hitter.
It is.
But is it arguably, can it be argued or have a conversation on the same level as 1 guy? No, it's not.
I think me personally, like when I see, especially now, when pitchers don't go as long in games as they used to, right? Pitchers now, you go 6 innings, it's like amazing, right? I think that to me makes a single pitcher no-hitter more impressive, because I look at that and I say, okay, he didn't give up a hit. He got 27 outs and he kept his pitch count down the entire time. Like, to me, there are other things that factor into it. I understand, Ringle.
I'm not arguing that point.
Yeah, and I understand to an extent what you're saying. I think what maybe people take away from the accomplishment when they see a team no-hitter, and the fact that we even take anything away is kind of sad in itself.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
But when you compare it to like somebody doing it on their own, I can kind of see it, right? Like, yes, it's impressive on one hand that 5 guys came in and all didn't give up a hit, but then you say, okay, well, the load was kind of spread out across multiple people, and so when you see 1 guy do it, he's shouldering the entire thing on his own. Yeah. We almost look at that and naturally say, well, he did it all by himself, which I think is why it seems a little bit more remarkable when 1 guy does it.
That wasn't your point. Your initial point was that it could be argued.
That's just my opinion.
It could be argued that the combined no-hitter is at the same level as the solo no-hitter. That was your initial argument.
That's my point, saying that it shouldn't be stripped and taken away, that it's nothing.
But I don't think he's arguing that. I don't think
I'm
he's
not arguing that. But that wasn't your initial argument. I pointed out your initial argument first, which was that the combined no-hitter can be argued to be the same and in term as the solo no-hitter. That was your initial argument, which I don't even think you can argue that. A combined no-hitter is not even close to the same level as the solo no-hitter. Combined no-hitter should still be recognized, though.
I think you can just argue it to the sense that you can. It still is a difficult thing to do, I guess.
That's what I agree on.
Yeah, okay.
So we're talking in circles here. But anyway, with the Mets, so they get the no-hitter, they drop the second game, and then they come through yesterday. It was back and forth game. They wound up out slugging the Phillies. Schwarber, you can't.
Yeah, that guy.
He's got to stop bothering. If you're a Met fan, you get agita seeing Schwarber walk up into the box. You throw up. Guy just kills you for the past couple of years.
Isn't it so weird that some guys just
do one team? It's just one team. They kill them.
Strange,
it's all sports. It's just very weird. But yeah, Mets up 2-1 right now. So far, all the moves that they made in the offseason working. Even the guy behind the bench who's not in today got suspended a game, Buck Showalter, or it's working. It's not much to complain about for the Mets. It's just the thing is, before I want to get into before I do that, big news today was Cano getting DFA'd.
Joe Abraham joined.
Joe, what? Yeah, something happened with my stream then. Hold on, wait.
Oh, I'm on Twitter now, but I didn't.
He popped maybe. Oh yeah, no, he's out.
Yeah, Joe, you're out of the stream right now. Just me and Ringle in a terrible border right now. Because
Can you add him back in or no?
Yeah, Joe, just go back to like the Google
So
Doc.
you want me to leave?
Yeah, leave and then go back to the Google Doc and join
Yeah.
through that link I sent, and then I can fix the stream.
Yeah,
But for now, if you're watching the stream live
we
on
got
Twitter, it's just me and
lines.
Ringle with lines going through our face. Joe will come back in and even out the boxes. But Cano got DFA today, and it was a big conversation. Do you eat the $40 million and have $40 million? Not like you're paying a guy $40 million to do nothing, pretty much. And it turned out that's what they're going to be willing to do, because you got an owner that easily can do that. Who's a billionaire, one of the wealthiest guys in the world, and Steve Cohen. And you're able to the link won't load.
Can you hear me? Can people hear me?
Yeah.
I think people can hear you, but they can't see you.
Yeah, I can't get back into the video.
So I'll do this, Joe. I'll do this right now. I'm going to text the link right now to you so you can get back in the video. Everyone can see your face. There's another link right now. Join that one through your computer. You have computer messaging on your computer? That makes it
Yes, I have a computer.
I know you have a computer, Joe. God. Yeah, so they were able to. I just realized something. I haven't changed the ticker the whole show. It just
We're
said
still
Jets
talking
and Giants.
Giants.
Yeah, I always forget to do that. And the thing is, I had tickers set. So Joe's here.
I'm here, but I'm not here.
Now
No,
you're
no, you're me.
There you go.
Okay.
Switched it.
Oh,
back to normal. Like nothing.
Don't you ever put me back down
I
there.
know, right? Me and Joe are
Ringle's in the
levitating.
basement.
Exactly. So your $1 billion owner willing to eat that $40 million.
Love
and I
to
guess
see it.
I heard this today. You're paying the $40 million regardless if he's
Yeah.
on the team or
Yeah.
not. And the bright side to that, if you keep him in the lineup, he's hurting your team because he's not playing good.
Definitely.
He
So you'd
also
rather
takes
pay
away
$40 million to a guy that's not going to hurt your team.
He also
right?
takes a spot away from somebody else, Dom Smith, J.D. Davis, Jankowski, who've all been contributing. Especially, Dom Smith's been okay.
Yeah.
Last game, he went
showed up in
absolutely,
a do or die.
he went
for him,
absolutely
yeah.
off. So I'll let you take this away, Ringo. I know you got things to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna add what I told you in the car on the way here.
Mhm.
That Billy Epler, it came out. I think Tacoma tweeted it out that he said that he was giving Steve Cohen the options. Like, listen, we can keep him, we can cut him and eat the $40 million. And he weighed the pros and cons. And Steve Cohen was quoted saying, "Make the baseball decision." So that's definitely something.
Money's
that,
no object.
Yeah, that I mean, Cano's on the worst team possible for this because money is no object for the Mets. So they were not holding him for $40 million when he clearly hurts the team. This actually reminds me of years ago with the Jets. I'll say this really quick with the whole Mark Sanchez stuff. There was he was starting because he had a lot of money left on his contract, and Jets fans were upset about that. And the Johnsons, everything wanted him out there because they were paying him. So it's not the case with the Mets right now. They're paying him a lot of money, but they're not going to force him out there when he hurts the team.
And I think that we could say all these as many negative things as we want about Steve Cohen and how he handles himself on social media, opens his mouth when he probably shouldn't. But this is a guy that's committed to winning. He extended Lindor. He signed Max Scherzer. He designated for assignment Robinson Cano, which was strictly a baseball decision. I think that this is all the things that you want to see. I think Mets fans have confidence that should this team get in a hole at some point near the trade deadline, he would be willing to make moves to facilitate winning at whatever cost it takes.
Mhm.
And that's the benefit, and that's the difference between him and somebody like the Wilpons, who handled the team prior. I want to briefly go back to the no-hitter for a quick second, because I think it's important to point out that Tyler McGill continues to just pitch phenomenally. Him and Scherzer are both tied on the team with 4 wins apiece. I think that once this season started and we realized that we were going to be going into the year without Jacob deGrom, the question was how long and how well can this starting pitching staff play for us in his absence, right? It was, okay, how long can we stay above water? Can we stay above water? And if so, how high above water will this team be by the time he returns? I don't think anybody could have expected the starting staff to pitch this way. It's been incredible. Jordan, you mentioned a lot of our additions are playing very well. Max Scherzer, Marcana, McNeil looks like 2019 McNeil.
Yeah,
that guy
McNeil
can
looks-
find grass every single time he comes to the
He's batting
plate.
356 right now.
Unbelievable. And so it's credit to the pitching staff. It's credit to Buck Showalter. They're continuing to do things right. And I talked to you about this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm guilty of this as well as a Met fan, saying, okay, yes, we're playing great, but when is the floor going to drop out from under us? We've been used to it. We've been conditioned to think that way. And I saw a couple opinions floating around the internet that I actually kind of agree with, and it made me rethink things. It's that, yes, the Mets are playing great. Yes, they could start to slip. Any team can. But if you don't enjoy the way the Mets are playing now, then you are never going to enjoy the way the Mets play until they actually win a World Series. And you're supposed to enjoy the ride. And so while the starting pitching could start to fall off, injuries can mount up, things inevitably will go wrong in a season that's 162 games long. You have to appreciate stretches like this. And for a Mets team that's won 7 straight series, it's just been an absolute blast, and I hope that it continues.
That's my biggest thing with when I rip on the Mets and Jets fans. Just be happy in the moment and stop going further.
Yep,
with
you don't
everything.
there's no need to take it to that next level.
Be happy you threw a no-hitter. Be happy you're dominating right now. But then you got to see the people that this team's different. Something special's going on right now. I got to see World Series championship comments. This is what they've been doing for years, though. Just be happy. You're playing great. You're up 2-0 right now. You just threw a no-hitter the other day. Just live in the now.
But I think there is some stock in the whole, special things happen. Like, you can see a difference. I think there's some stock in that. And after the no-hitter, Keith Hernandez on the broadcast, he brought up the fact that, this season has had special moments. And it might be one of those seasons where Mets fans look back and say, man, do you remember back in April?
Special moments. It's 1 month.
I understand. I understand that. But like, we could look back on this season and say, do you remember in April? Do you remember all the hit by pitches? Do you remember the fire that we played with? Do you remember Buck Showalter getting suspended? Do you remember the team no? Like, all of these things do mean something. Yet, yes, we are so far away from playoff baseball. We're so far away from a World Series. But I'm just saying, Joe, you got to enjoy the ride.
You are right, and I think, on coming from Jordan's point of view, I don't think by having that point of view, you're not enjoying the ride. I think that there's just no need to say it. There's no need to say these moments after we make the playoffs, after we go on a run, possibly after we make the World Series, possibly. Say that then look back on this no-hitter and say, wow, they threw the no-hitter back in April. That was a good moment in showing that this team was special, was different, not is special, not is different, because we don't know that yet. But if we look back and say, yeah, it was special, it was different, that's where I want to see those comments. I want to see those comments later in the year, not now in the year.
I'll give you an example right now. The Islanders in November in 2019-20, the year that got shut down for COVID, they won 10 games in a row right off the bat. 10 games in a row. And you could easily, in that moment, whoa, if we'll look back in moments like this, see, remember when we won the 10 games in a row? If we win a championship, we'll look back and win. No, what happened that year? They made it to the conference finals and lost. They didn't win a championship. So I think it's not wise, and it's really jumping the gun. If I would have been in November that year at the Islanders, be like, you know what? In championship seasons, you look back to moments like this and be like, remember we won 10 games in a row and we had points, and the Islanders had points in 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 straight games. It's really jumping the gun. And the Mets, you could said last year, looking back, win a championship this year. We'll look back. Remember we were in first place for 100 days. How'd that wind up? And also, this is the Mets. This isn't the Yankees that make the playoffs every year. This isn't the Astros. This isn't the Tampa Bay Lightning that when they get off to a hot start, you're like, okay, here we go. Let's try to make another run this year. This is the Mets, where they get off to 11-1 starts in the past, and they don't even sniff a wild card.
I agree 100%.
All right? Just be happy you're playing good now.
You can still be happy just because you don't want to say that this team's different or this team's special. You can still be happy about the way they're playing right now, but you just don't need to take it to that next level and that the unknown and the unrealistic expectations right now. Just be happy in the moment, like Jordan's saying. I completely agree, and just don't take it for granted, because then by doing that, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, same thing last year. Islanders won 9 games in a row from the beginning of the season was January, end of February, and the beginning of March, won 9 games in a row. And if you're thinking, wow, I'm going to look back in a championship season and think like we're going to think back to that 9-game winning streak. What happened? You lost in 7 in the conference finals again to Tampa.
Like I said,
just be happy during the 9-game winning streak.
Talk about this no-header. Talk about that 9-game winning streak after you've made the playoffs or had a good run or win the World Series or win a champion. Say that then. Look back and say, wow, that no-hitter was a good moment. That was a good defining moment that, hey, we could have known back then that this team was special. Say it later, not now.
Even right now at the Yankees, they won 9 in a row. I'm not thinking I'm not thinking playoffs or I'm not even thinking tomorrow.
They're back 100%. It's good to see that they look like they're back.
Exactly. I'm happy because we look like we're the Yankees we should be. And I'm happy we're the best team in the league right now. I'm not even thinking about tomorrow's game against the Blue Jays or the next series against the Blue Jays. I'm worried about getting out of this 2-2 hole right. Not even a hole. We're just tied right now in the 6th inning after we were up 2-0 and they quickly erased it. That's what I'm thinking about. But
you gotta have.
Just be happy.
It's everywhere. Right, every team has this. Everyone
don't
has
see it
this.
as much as what you do with the Mets. Though.
Well, we live in New York.
No.
But yes,
easily.
No, I'm not. I'm not defending Jets and Mets fans. They are terrible.
You don't see it with the Ranger fans. You don't see it with You don't see what Yankee fans get annoying in other ways, not in this exact ways. You don't see it with Ranger fans, but you don't see it with Giant fans. You see it with Mets and Jets.
No matter where
fans.
You're looking to. If you stay on Twitter and you look up every tweet,
I've been a Giant fan and then supporter my whole life. I've never seen this with the Giants ever. The Rangers, I followed hockey my whole life.
I'm not arguing this.
I see the same thing with Ranger fans. I see with Islander fans, like that cockiness and arrogance. I don't see the fandom like you see with the Mets and the Jets, where they get way too ahead of themselves.
Yeah. No, they 100% do.
What's the common theme?
But
they don't win.
I know. Yeah, because they're so desperate. They're so desperate for trying to believe that they are on that level of winning and they are ready to win a championship. So they'll say and do anything to make them believe that it's true. And hopefully one day it is for the Islanders, Mets, and Jets' sake, for me at least.
Hopefully it's the Islanders first.
Yeah.
For my sake. For my sake. But that will just about wrap it up on this episode of Uncontested Sports on this Monday night. Draft's over and done with. Now we'll look at how they're looking in training camp. That should be, everything's flying. Like Joe said in the beginning, April flew by. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing off-season workouts by the time we blink an eye, But again, for Uncontested Sports, Jordan, Joe, and Ringle, we'll see you guys all next week.